Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 123rd episode of our first run through Book of Hours on YouTube, playing as the artist. We are just about ready to unlock the last of the Cougar bit. We're leveling up Resurgences and Emergences, so it's a pretty wide open field. There's a few obvious steps for me to work on, and it's really up to me to kind of decide what the best use of my time is. So one of these would be to read the remaining books that I have. So in addition to these four works, which I sort of feel are, are in sort of shooting distance, we have the, I put them in a different room. We have the phonograph records. So we've got 5 of those. We can't necessarily read all 5, but that is something else we can work on. And we still have 2 uncatalogued books. That's a fairly high priority for me to sort out. On top of that, we have some pretty obvious rooms to unlock if we so choose. And then, if I want, I haven't done some investigation in terms of the different recipes that I can make, although I suppose the argument for the different recipes would be that I want to use those to sort of move throughout the house, so I don't quite have the same urgency to do those recipes. Now, one small shame is that I was never really able to pick any more Blue Crown. We were a little too busy to do that, but that's fine. We'll manage. I do want to make some Glassfinger Toxin at some point, and I've been meaning to catch up on curing all of these various curses. I figure at the very least inescapable confinement should help me out there. So again, lots to do. It's just really a question in terms of when I want to sort of have it, when I want to pull the trigger on all of this. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Yeah, so we're down the Grail. And it is springtime. Memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. Current affairs, what is happening in the world beyond Brandkrug? What visitors will the season bring? And the yearly stipend. The yearly stipend from St. Ronwin's has arrived, along with the rather usual sniffy reminder that I should spend it wisely. So, I'm glad that we use the fishermen on the docks here, because we do still have a moon-oriented character we can use, the miner. But the miner's going to be down 1. So let's just take a quick second here and double-check my numbers. So we've got the 1 moon to work with. We'll have 1 from Trist. We'll have 6 from the Wormwood Dream. So that's 1, 2, 8. 1 from the Lunar Globe. And then 1 from a glass of water. Okay. So that gives me kind of an excuse. There's a couple things that I can do here. So we'll pour out. And that should finish off the water here, so I'm going to use the core to draw up some more, lower the bucket, creaking into the dark. Let's make a Wormwood Dream. We don't exactly need to come like storming out the gate with this stuff, but it's just as... Oh, hang on. I'm actually forgetting. Okay, let's see. If I use the old wound... It'd help if I brought the right skill in. Oh, that's right. I used the phosphorescent scrapings. I'm okay doing that a second time, although I probably shouldn't be relying on it. Recall a forgotten crime of moon and winter. Edicts Marshall with scholar level moon plus a memory creates a Wormwood Dream. Okay. Oop, my tea is done. Sorry, just gonna take a second to recover my tea bag. Okay, yes, I think we are going to hire one of the tin miners so that we can open up another room. The Sweet Bones has been the public house in Brandkrug since Cromwell's time. Its history is notable, its beer is not. Guests looking for discreet employment or for discreet assistance congregate in the snug. In spring, the local miners often travel to the Feast of Lights below. If one breaks his journey at the Sweet Bones, a shilling will buy his labor for a day. Miners offer scale, forge, and a little moon. Alternatively, add a soul card to find rarer guests who might be seeking employment. On top of that, let's bring in Mrs. Kill. Now, there's a small worry that I have here, which is the world might catch up with me. We might actually want to talk with one of the visitors. But for now, Mrs. Kill's mood always improves when I drop by. If you don't choose a topic, Mrs. Kill will offer help as a friend. Mrs. Kill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. So in preparation of our work with Mrs. Kill, I'm going to read the Sun Disfigured again. We can use the FET for that, I think. And the funny thing is I'm putting so much effort into unlocking rooms, but what I probably should be focused on right now is reading the texts that I have. So I will work on that in just a moment. But I do have... There is a specific plan that I have in mind here, so... I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. Okay, so... I'm pretty happy with where we're at for most of these. I do want to get the old wound back at some point, but... the next step here is going to be to read the relevant books. So here's what I'm thinking. Let's start with the wonderful shape. This is going to seem a little funny, but I'm actually going to take the air... Oh, hang on. I got to wait 8 seconds. We could do it all at the same time. Actually, you know what? It helps if I stagger them out. Never mind. This one I still need to do, though. So let's see. We've got A Tower Falls, The Velletri Interviews, The Invisible Opera, Unfinished Recording, recordings from the Altheban Abyss, and A Tower Rises. So Tower Rises and Tower Falls is a bit much for me to think I can do on my own without memories. The Invisible Opera is tempting, but I don't think we're actually going to have what it takes. Yeah, so it's really the Velletri Interviews or recordings from the Altheban Abyss. Let's start with the Velletri Interviews and move from there. Technically doesn't have to be. I think we'll use the FET for this, actually. So weaving and not working will do the trick. Heart onwards, I can master this mystery. Pour it out. It's probably a bit more that I can do, to be fair, but I'm just gonna wait. And another rainy day. Okay. The yearly stipend. So there's the Iron Spintria, another £1 note. What else? Here we go. The miners' assistants. Thus they more or less ruled themselves with the help of their wild Celtic temperament, made wilder by the hardness of their lives and the truly ghastly conditions under which they worked. With all this, it is to be wondered why the Tinners... not to be wondered that the Tinners acquired the reputation of being scarcely human, but it must be remembered that among them at all times were those whose characters could stand comparison with the best of men. Alright, so let's throw the tryst at the miner and we'll start anew. Secret sorrows may join our strengths. I probably could have used desires and dissolutions now that I think of it. Yup. And I'm going to do that. Grail Birth. I can master this mystery. So, open question as to whether or not I want to try the Kukurbit prisoner records or any of the forge texts. I think I'm going to save that for another day. So at this point, I need to find something useful to do with my remaining elements of the soul. Also, it would be nice if I found something to do with the rain. I probably should have thought the day through a little bit better. Alright, we've got Mrs. Kill. The skill is now level 9. Its power aspects have also increased. So I'm actually going to go to the Sweet Bones and restore the Arab for the start. Rest and refreshment spring. It is spring and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie with the pilchard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. And I've carried the memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. This will complete once dawn has come. Alright. So I have a little more freedom for today, but we'll pretty much tie all of it up momentarily as I level up the miner and then Mrs. Kill. Who knows, maybe we'll even get some memories out of all of this. It would be nice to try and level up the skills that we get out of reading those books. It's just not my top priority right now. What comes, neither of us knows yet, but we will. Okay, I gotta take a second here. So Wormwood Dream was one, but the Lunar Globe and the water were the next steps. So I can offer my assistants something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They'll also be glad of the refreshment. So priorities right now are to boost the assistants, and then we'll worry about whatever guest comes. We still have guest beds. We, I believe, have unlocked not all of the beds, but most of the beds. So I feel pretty confident in my ability to keep any of the visitors if we need. Wakefield. Been a while, Mr. Wakefield. All right. I read The Sun Disfigured recently, so I'm just going to set that aside. Is there someone en route to Hush House? We'll read the description of Zachary Wakefield when we work with him. Now, he knows Kilisimi, which we already know, so in this case, this is somebody who we will earn some money off of. Down to the Greshams. Alright, so Lunar Globe was the last thing I wanted to put in the miner's hands. Proffer a tool. I can lend my assistant something to help increasing their abilities. Now, I will probably want to take a minute here and see whether or not I can actually do what I wanted with Mrs. Kill. So, with Mrs. Kill, we start with 2 Grail. And with the Arab Plus, that'll be another 3. So that brings us up to 5 already. So 5 from the Newman brings us up to 10, which should give us the Riddling Stare. So today we'll have the Wheeled Fold Spring and the Riddling Stare at minimum. Now again, there's other things that we can do, but it's just sort of nice to know. It's nice to know where we stand. It means that I've got some elements of the soul available for other things. Better now. Now, I suppose one question I have is, do I want to take the time to restore these elements of the soul, or am I at the point where I want to make some money? I think in this case I'll go for the money, but it's really going to be more just kind of turning it off, turning it on again, and at the end of the day I should still be up a shaft so that I can use that to level up whatever skills we wind up with. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 worth of odd jobs. Let us hope that it is equally possible to forget this again. Wormwood Dream, if there are laws which apply only in Dream, then it must also be that there are crimes that can only be committed there. And a little water splashes onto the stones, the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. I should probably take a look at what I can bring up in spring as far as plants are concerned, but I'm going to worry about that a little bit later. I have other tasks. Plus, I only have health to work with right now. I can discuss a memory with my assistant. So the main idea here is that I've got, like, even though I didn't harvest as much as I wanted, I've got quite a bit in terms of blue crown. But as far as some of the other plants are concerned, I think fragrant chalice, for instance, I think we only have one of those now. And I can't recall if we have any more honey scar jasmine. So, actually, you know, let's take the time here. So, moth orchids in spring. Agave eterna in summer. Cat's claw in spring. Wait a minute. Where's the fragrant chalice? There we go. Fragrant chalice in summer and autumn, Lenten rose in winter. Okay, I keep forgetting about this one, actually. I wonder how many times I've passed that over. But yeah, no major gardening for me to do in spring. Fair enough. I think this was the water that I had drawn up in Numa that I forgot about. I mean, we still have the one in the jail kitchen. Oh yes, sorry, I forgot to do the description of the room. The loading dock. Here the supplies came in from every continent that the seas touch, from the bounds and beyond. Now and then prisoners would try to escape, but the sea is always hungry. Loading dock crane. Long ago, this was the route by which provisions entered the jail and by which prisoners failed to escape. So this only really discards things. But we do have a couple of items that we can open up. So we've got the abandoned luggage, we've got the records box, and we've got a crate of supplies. Now again, we've got plenty to do. In fact, we never did open the box of oddities, so there's no shortage of things for me to follow up on there. But I do still want to see where our various books and records wind up. So the Velletri interviews, interrogation of a man named Lacombe, a former nocturnal branch inspector, now identified as terminally robogoid. Lacombe is not especially lucid, and the state called robogoia evidently includes a malady of the lungs which causes coughing fits. He weakens audibly over the course of the interrogation. He is questioned about the disposition of various unsanctioned items recovered from a nocturnal branch raid on a castle at Ortuccio in the region of the Fucine Marshes. He is, however, defiant as well as incoherent. Lacombe insists that the items must have been put to good use. He derides Nocturnal Branch as the lackeys of Calyptra. Alarmingly, during the last few minutes of the interrogation, he begins to insist that his interrogator should burn the library. He waxes enthusiastic about the fire he wants to see, leading to a final coughing fit, after which the interview abruptly ends. So now we really want to know when this occurred. So this is a stolen secret. I'm going to write that down. And we have edicts inviolable. That probably is one I should have guessed based on the contents, but VI. Now, do I have edicts inviolable? Oh, yes, we do. That's an easy one for us to level up as well. Now, again, I've said this a few times, this isn't necessarily the way you want to play. If you don't see any advantage to having edicts inviolable, then, you know, you put you level up something else, but I don't know, I think the Calyptra stuff is kind of neat, so. Edicts inviolable, the precepts of occlusion and dissolution. Their jealous enforcement is the nature of Calyptra. And then there's the edicts liminal, the precepts of limitation and division, established by the enigmatic conclave of ours, sometimes called the Chancel. And here we have the wonderful shape, blessings and invocations of the triple knot recorded at a sanctuary in Cyprus, notable for its weavers, sculptors, and gardeners. The roots go deep, the knots remain. The final invocation is one for the restoration of the roots, to be spoken before an altar of the triple knot, but puzzlingly, it should not be spoken by any priestess of the knot, or even by one who has been initiated into their mysteries. So we got satisfaction and Tridesma Hyra. So let's grab that book and put that where it needs to be. Let's take a look. So we only need 3 memories for Tridesma Hyra. The bigger question is, how do I get the Grail or Moon that I need? Well, I mean, the answer to that obviously is I need to pay. So Beguiling Melody is my best option here. Let's use the Whist for that. I can never remember which one. Oh yeah, no, it would be these. I guess we're on to the Geminiad now? Right, I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So that gets me Tridesma Hyra once I have the element of the soul for it. And there's the 10 Moon. Memories don't last long outside books, but it's made a difference for the day. Let's talk with Mrs. Kill. So Arab, collaborate Arab, my pride will find an echo in theirs. And for the minor, we're actually going to just run straight into the next region. So we'll use the wheel-filled spring. The pool here is filled with rusting and rotting wheels. Was this some attempt to block it, or were the wheels thrown down the well of his offerings? In either case, let's try that again. The pool here is filled with rusting and rotting wheels. Was this some attempt to block it, or were the wheels thrown down the well above his offerings? In either case, it'll need to be cleaned out and suitable offerings made to appease the powers to whom this place is holy. So remember, we only need 2 elements of the soul to make to get Mrs. Kill to the level that we need. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm going to restore a core here, so tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. And that's because, remember that core gives us Grail as well, so in this case here I still have the Shaft. Now that we know what we're working with Tridesma Hyra, it doesn't really hurt to have, to switch between the 2. Oh dear. I just poured some tea on the... Sorry, I'm trying to tidy up the tea that I just dropped on my keyboard. There's a lot more than I thought. Sorry, I just don't want to wind up with a broken keyboard midstream. Okay, that should do the trick. The skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. So we move Lockworks and Clockworks down, Edicts Inviolable up, and we'll prepare Tridesma Hyra as well, so that'll become a level 5. Okay. Eagerly we anticipate our work. No! Okay. I can discuss a memory with my assistant. This will use up the memory, but boost the assistant's abilities for the rest of the day. So again, we needed 10 Grail, and we're up to that with the Riddling Stare, although we still need to wait for the miner to finish his work. And I'm not 100% sure whether or not we're going to be able to get that extra level of Tradisma Hyra. I think a lot of that is going to depend on conversations with Mrs. Kill. Okay. The Geminiad Volume 3, a fragile manuscript illuminated with the twin shapes of sad and illuminated with twin shapes of sad and luminous beauty, and with all the phases of the moon. It might be as old as the 7th century, but the language Fusine is much older. Coral decorates its cover, and its page edges are sharp enough to slash a throat. These pages outline the nature and doctrines of an hour that demands the union of what has been separated, an hour that is sought at the water's edge and beneath the moon, the witch and sister. The language is elusive, enigmatic, intricate. It'll take some untangling. The 3rd volume of the Geminiad reminds us that the witch and sister has been known to manifest as the sister and witch, and that this face may heal while the other face is always hungry. It implies connections between the witch and sister and the hours of the wood, especially the secret keeper called the Velvet, but it is ambiguous on whether the witch and sister is a wood hour proper, and it speaks at length about the sadness of the two who are one, the sadness that remains from their time as flesh. So this is enough to level up Tradisma Hyra if we had a grail to work with, but we don't. We need to wait for that to come out of the sweet bones. Still, I think I'll restore another core, and then we'll see where we are. I really am not expecting us to be able to level up Tradisma Hyra again, but you never know. Memories don't last long outside books, but it's made a difference for the day. I'm going to just double check that we have everything we need with Mrs. Kill. Yep, we do. So, Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. And the wheel-filled spring is open, the sacred spring. The eye marked on the rocks here is not the watchman's eye that decorates the church above, but the eye that marks the temple of the wheel in dreams. The priests of the sun would tell you that there is no sight before the rising of the sun, but those who've drunk from this spring will dream of another sun, one that swung lower in the sky, one that would speak with us, one that would accept friendly gifts of blood from us. And here there is the sacred spring. Here a pilgrim would bathe, make offerings, or drown as they might prefer. This accepts grail, moon, or nectar, and it will take an element of the soul remains and an omen, or memory remains and a pigment. This opens up two possibilities for us. The slithering fountain. After all these years, the fountain in this hall is blocked. That's not a surprise. A little more surprising is this. The blockage appears to be mostly snakes, a great many snakes. This, no doubt, is why we have seen so few rats. So 14 edge, 14 knock, or 14 scale. I think it's fairly obvious we're going to be using Reverend Timothy for this one. You see, essentially we've done that with the cell up here. And then we have the Room of Rusts. Now this is a considerably easier room for us to get into. The ceiling is collapsed, rusting machinery pokes out here and there through the rubble. 11 forge or 11 scale. And remember, we haven't actually used Denzel all that much. But again, we'll see where we go. It sort of depends on the day in terms of where we want to go. The other thing to remember too is I may just want to use my remaining 2 elements of the soul to catalog those other books, seeing as we're going to be making quick work of the lessons. Remember that we read 2 books and we're already leveling up 2 skills, so it's a pretty decent pace that we've made. Another fruit plucked from knowledge's tree. Improve the skill to level 4. So I'm going to restore this core, but that's mostly because I'll probably wind up using it to get a... I'm probably going to use it to get a just some more money. I can, of course, try to get the one of the Newman back, and also I could use Edict's Marshal to get myself an old wound. The difference is I don't need to make the Wormwood Dream with quite the same urgency that I had before. All of the moon rooms that I wanted to open are now open, and we have a different set of priorities. Their tizzing can be no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but their scant trace of the continent in her accent now. The skill is now level 4. Its power aspects have also increased. Okay. That's the hurry up, do what you want to do sound. Alright, so we only have Solace for that, so essentially we need 4 memories of Grail or Moon, and we have none of them. I'm pretty sure we... yeah. So in this case, the argument is we want to catalog the books. Doesn't make sense for me to talk with Mrs. Kill, because I can keep the Solace. I don't think so, and I think there's a lot of sense in clearing out Wakefield as well. So the Riddling Stare. Half-seen faces, mouth half-heard riddles. This is none of Van Loren's work. These defenses are much older than the Curia. The Curia found a way to answer these riddles, and so will we. Alright, now again, it used to be that I would do these one at a time, but seeing as I can transfer curses into books, it makes as much sense. There just isn't the same sense in preserving... Well, okay, there can be some situations where it makes sense to preserve, but in this case, we're just going to throw both elements at the soul of them, at them. So this book was probably written around the time of Hush House's nocturnal period after the turn of the century. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. And the governor's desk. A desk as severe and practical as Collars himself, unsung hero of Book of Hours. And yes. Oh, and then we want to talk with Wakefield. So, Mr. Zachary Wakefield, marksman, detective, renegade. He has always been a quiet man, but since he left the Suppression Bureau, he has grown even quieter and terribly still, except for his fingers and for his eyes, always in restless motion. A conversation with Wakefield. Librarian, I can see you. I don't like what they say happened. I don't like it at all. Try a book with as much mystery knock as their knock interest, so that's 3 knock. So essentially what we're looking... Oh, refill. Oh, neat. I didn't even notice that. So we're going to want to find, ideally, a 4 knock. Yeah, Traveling at Night, Volume 3. Essentially, where Daymare gets the same book as Daymare. I can almost see what happened, what really, really happened. I just need a little more. Librarian, 1 door closes, another door opens, and another. And on that note, we are going to finish up for tonight. So the plan moving forward is, well, we'll see what books we get, but I think probably tidying up Trides Mahaira. We'll see what rooms are available. I do see an argument for going a little bit further into the Dawn period room. So we've just started to dip our toe in, but what I might want to do is take stock of what I can really bring to opening those up. And I'll be honest, it would not hurt to just take the time to read through the books that I already have so that I know what I can work with. But again, like I said, we've got lots and lots of things to do. I'm actually surprised that I got through the lessons that I did as quickly as I did. That's nice because I have a pretty simple one to follow up in terms of recordings for the next one. We still need to find somebody who speaks Hyksos, but that's not really going to put a damper on our plans. Like, someone will show up who has it. There's only 1 or 2 books that we need with Hyksos. But yeah, again, I kind of like I like the freedom that I have right now, just because if my mood drives me to one choice over another, I don't feel that bad about it, just because there's so much stuff to do. So I will be honest, I'm not sure what I'm doing next stream, but I hope you're around to see the next one and make that decision. Yeah, I have nothing else to say. This should be one more episode for this week. I'm sorry, I've been really scattered at the end of the recordings today, but I'm just I'm used to kind of giving a big summary of the end of the video, so it's a little unusual for me to be leaving these things sort of undone. You know what I am going to do? I'm actually going to enjoy some of this tea before I record the next episode. So anyways, one more episode for this week, for Friday. I will see you then. Thank you very much for watching.